Hey, my name is Matt Stohrer and I repair saxophones for a living. Today I'd like to show you something you don't see too often, and that is a nearly completely disassembled, unsoldered Conn Microtuner. Now, there is one piece that is not unsoldered on the, I guess we could call this the tuning slide here. This is where the cork goes. These are the guides that keeps this aligned, and this segment here with this ring and then these two wings is actually just soft soldered press fit onto this tapered piece here, tapered piece of tubing here. And I did not unsolder that because I didn't need to. But other than that, this has been completely unsoldered from the neck, which also has a bunch of stuff unsoldered. This neck was damaged, this tuner was damaged, and I had to basically do a mini overhaul inside the overhaul on this tuning slide. So to get an idea of how the Conn Microtuner works, you can look up on Stephen Hauer's website. He has a really nice write-up on the Microtuner. I also talk about it a bit in some of my other videos, but you can just Google the Conn Microtuner to get a general idea of what's going on. This is a bit more specific. Now, as far as nomenclature, I don't think it is agreed upon, so I'll just tell you what I sort of think of it as in my head. This is the tuning slide, or the tenon. This is the retaining ring. This is the tuning barrel with threads on the inside. This is the tuning slide receiver. And this is the collar. And then here's the neck. And the way these things go together is that this slides in here. And then this goes in here. That's how that moves, right? And when it is assembled, this goes on here. This goes in here, and then the retaining ring goes here. Oops, it's kind of hard to get that one started. Okay, there we go. And then this whole thing goes on here, right? And that's basically your Conn Microtuner. Now, the reason I took this apart is because sometimes these things are not airtight. And as far as getting the joint airtight when you're talking about the sliding, the tuning slide, you've got two surfaces that are mating, right? You've got the exterior of this part here, which is cylindrical, and the interior of this part here, which is cylindrical. Now, if you look inside here, you might be able to see that that is actually tapered on the inside, right? So that is how this works here, as this slides in and out, right? You can see that there. Let's see if I bring the light back this way. You can see that slides on the inside there. And the interior of this is tapered, the exterior is cylindrical, and that's how you get a airtight fit. And when you've got an air leak between this piece and this piece, they're particularly pernicious and difficult to get rid of. And there's two ways that I know of. One is to plate the exterior or the interior here, brass plate it, and then lap it. Or you can expand this. Now, because this is tapered on the inside, it goes from being pretty thin right here to being pretty thick by the time you get up here. And usually the way that these are situated, right around here, usually is where people kind of typically have it. So you're looking at a mating surface from here to here, basically, on the inside of this guy. And the way that I know to get that to fit is to expand it from the inside using graduated dent balls. These are dent balls that come in a set that Repairman use that are separated by tiny increments, and when you take these, you can press them in from this side and tap them in a couple times, put like a piece of wood here. Be very, very careful. Obviously, the thinner the pipe, the tube gets here, going to be thicker up this way where the taper on the inside is smaller, going to be very thin towards here, so you need to use varying degrees of force. But you can tap it in with like a piece of wood on one side and then tap it back out the other side, and that'll gradually expand this. And you've got to do it with like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sizes of dent ball. And it just takes feel and finesse to get it right, but you can gradually expand this a little bit, and then you can lap it in here. So you've got this nice free fit that you see this way, right? But it's also airtight, and that's how I've gotten this one. And you can see some of the sort of burnishing marks from the lapping. And that is not a very easy thing to do, and obviously you're going to be adding grease or oil to here, so that's going to give it like kind of a second layer of airtightness, but you want the actual metal to metal joint to be airtight if you can. And because this one was pretty heavily damaged, We had to take it apart anyways because the solder that was in here was kind of rotting and the thing was falling off, and it had leaks actually here too. But that is what the inside of this looks like. Now if you ever have to put one of these back together, this guy sticks on here, right? The collar actually is a good bit of distance away. You can see that gap there, right? So the way that you're probably going to want to do it, because if you just put this on here and then try and heat this whole thing up, now this collar is going to basically act as an insulator for this much thicker piece, and the collar is very thin metal. See, I mean, very, very thin stuff here. And this will heat up a lot faster than this, so the solder is going to want to flow onto the collar. So the way to put it back together is actually to clean out the inside of this little chamfered flange that fits on. Sweat a little bit of solder in there. You don't need much. I mean, as you can see, that's a pretty tight joint, right? And then assemble this, put it on, and heat it up, holding it against your fire brick, right? So this guy, hold it down, heat this area, and you can, actually the way I would start probably is by heating this, right? Because that's got a lot of mass there, and let that heat travel up, and then start heating the neck part. And then as soon as that solder melts, this will go downwards, and you know that this is seated. And then cool it down, and then do the collar, where you can actually just flux it and feed a little bit of solder in there. And because this collar is such thin material, that'll go in there pretty quick. And you want a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of solder. If you put too much, it's going to flow into these channels here. And pardon my long fingernails. It's going to flow into the operative parts of this mechanism, which you don't want to do. You just want to have the collar be held on. It doesn't really do anything other than keep this mechanism clean where it slides in and out, right? And make it look pretty when you've got the tuning barrel assembled. So that is what a Conn tuning mechanism on a New Wonder Series 2 looks like when you take it completely apart. And it's basically the same for a 6M, just that this piece only has one of these channels and it's on the top versus two, one on each side. Alright, hope this was helpful, useful, informative. My name is Matt Stohrer. I repair saxophones for a living. Thanks for watching.